Thank you, Madam Secretary, for those wonderful remarks. And I am going to start with you, if you don't mind, the conversation and pick up on this notion that I think is fascinating, and you talked about in your book, The Mighty and the Almighty, of faith-based diplomacy. I think many Americans, including those perhaps who are now listening via live streaming to this, are going to think, well, listen, the State Department doesn't do religion, does it? And you've addressed that to some extent, but when you talk about faith-based diplomacy, they're probably not sure quite what you mean by it. So if you could say a little more about what you mean by that, and any examples of private-public actors in your experience that have done it well and effectively, and why it has a place in our diplomacy. If not, it's not the lead, but if it is a place, what does that look like?
Well, excuse me, I think that to pick up where I left off and both you and Sean talked about, I think that we have to recognize what is going on in the world in terms of how societies are put together, always, but certainly today, where people identify themselves in different ways, whether by their ethnic group or their linguistic group or their geographical location, but also their religion. And I think we've known that people have different religious beliefs, but we have not been willing to accept that as a statement of fact, and we have also not been willing to learn what they actually believe in. I think that we somehow act as if we understand somebody else's religion, that we're not being true to our own religion. I think that's been kind of a... and Bob Seipel is the one who said you have to know a lot about your own religion and respect it in order to be able to respect other people's religions. And so I think what has to happen is our diplomats, who are amazingly smart, I really do think, and have the capability of being moved from country to country and learning a language and learning about the history of a country. I believe, and I said at the end of I call it my God book, that it was important that there also be training or understanding of what the religious basis is of a country, as well as understanding, and this is where the faith base comes in, that not every country is monolithic in its religion, and that they're different groups, and that they have to be understood and worked with, and try, in fact, in countries that are not homogeneous, to try to also get some interconnection between those religious groups. Foreign Service Institute, which is kind of the training academy for diplomats, they now have added various modules that do, in fact, do what we had suggested, and I think it's very important. You're not going to be surprised when I say this, but I think the person that did this exceptionally well was President Clinton, who himself was a very religious person, is a very religious person, and had the capability, I think, in dealing with a country of understanding the religious basis of it and being respectful of other people's religions.
Would you say President Carter brought his faith into diplomacy in a way that was appropriate and helpful? Or is that one example? Or how would you describe that?
Well, he said a few things he shouldn't have. But I think that he did in the following way. First of all, I think that, and I was honored to work for President Carter, was that he was able to translate his religious faith into his, not just respect, but his real influence in moving human rights central to American foreign policy. Because it's the respect of the individual as a God-created creation that he respected, and I think that he was able to use it in that particular way.
So translation is critical.
Into something, I think, I mean, the part that's hard is how to translate it into what I would call practical policy. And so not just preaching, but in fact trying to get some policy determination out of what it is you believe. And in his case, it really was the human rights policy.
Thank you very much.